Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Rails Board meeting. I am Renee Leyva, President of the Rails Board. I hereby call this meeting to order on Friday, February 28th, 2025 at 1 o'clock. Emily, could you please call roll?
Sure. Monica Caldecott. Jean Carroll. Jennifer Cutshall.
Here.
Gwen Gregory.
Here.
Diane Hollister.
Here.
Jennifer Hovanek.
Here.
Amanda Kowalski.
Here.
Renee Leyva.
Here.
Julie Milovec.
Here.
Emily Porter.
Here.
Carolyn Sennett.
Here.
Alex Vancina.
Here.
Aaron Voidick.
Here.
Catherine Yanikowski.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Emily. Next is the recognition of guests and announcements, and we will take care of public comments at the same time. Let's start here in Burr Ridge with guests.
Monica Harris, Rails.
Sharon Swanson, Rails.
Laura Nemeth, Rails. Layla Heath, Rails.
Dan Botts from Rails.
Mark Hatch, Rails.
Jessica Barnes, Rails.
Emily Bailey, Rails.
Bill Philippek, Rails.
Emily, could you please read the names of the guests attending via Zoom?
Yes, we have Ryan Hebel with Rails and Mandy Saya from the Illinois State Library.
And did we receive any public comments through email or via Zoom?
Did not. We also have Kate Niehoff and Sam Daly from Rails.
Are there any other public comments at this time before we proceed? Very good. If not, let us move on to the consent agenda, which consists of 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3. The adoption of the agenda, the Rails Board minutes of January 24, 2024, which is going to get corrected in a second. The regular meeting, 5.3 is approval of disbursements, January 2025. Please note the agenda reads board minutes of January 24, 2024, which should read the board minutes of January 24, 2025. With this change noted, does anyone wish to move any item from the consent agenda to the regular agenda for further discussion? All right, great. If there are no changes, may I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved, Karen.
Second, Jen H.
All right, Emily, please call roll.
Jean Carroll. Jennifer Cutshall.
Yes.
Gwen Gregory. Gwen? Did I lose her? She's here. Diane Hollister. Jennifer Hovanek.
Yes.
Amanda Kowalski.
Yes.
Julie Milovec.
Yes.
Emily Porter.
Yes.
Carolyn Sennett.
Yes.
Alex Vancina.
Yes.
Aaron Voidick.
Yes.
Catherine Yanikowski.
Yes.
And Renee Leyva.
Next, we have the amazing Sharon Swanson next to me with the financial report.
Well, thank you very much, Renee, and good afternoon, everyone. Good early afternoon, everyone. So the financial reports for the month of January, you will find in your packet. As of January 31st, our general fund unassigned cash and investment balance was approximately 28.2 million. This would fund 23.9 months of budgeted fiscal year 2025 operations, so a little slightly under 2 years. We did receive the federal portion of our area per capita grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services totaling $1,936,143.79. That was received on February 20th. And with this receipt, we have received the full amount of our 2025 grant totaling $11,871,713.71. And I want to thank the Secretary of State and the Illinois State Library for all of their efforts to make this happen. Thank you so much. General fund revenues through January were just over 13.9 million. These were approximately 603,000 below budget. This is primarily due to, as I've said in prior months, the selection of EBSCO as a vendor for the statewide database program. Rails offers other complementary databases from EBSCO to both complement and enhance the state's database package. And this category will remain consistently 45% under budget through the rest of the year. These under budget revenues were also due to the revision in the LSAP support grant for an open RSA position that was eliminated. This lowered the amount that RSA will pay to Rails for our support cost to RSA, and we continue to have above budget investment income. The Federal Reserve took the conservative approach to hold interest rates steady at their January meeting. This is while the trajectory, they're trying to be cautious while the trajectory of our economy is yet to be seen under a new administration, basically. The projected interest rates for calendar year 2025 remain 3.9%. That's the Federal Reserve's target. A 0.5 percentage point increase is expected during calendar year 2026. So nothing drastic right now in their projections, but we will see what happens at their meeting this next month. Rails had $213,625 of unbudgeted special grant funding beyond our area and per capita grant. This amount was for the ongoing development and enhancement of L2 and our World Language Cataloging Services program. Rails's general fund expenditures through January were nearly 9.6 million, and these were approximately 1.6 million below budget, primarily due to EBSCO, which I mentioned earlier. Which was in our library materials expenditures category. And contractual services expenditures were also under budget. We received no applications in the first round of the cataloging membership grants to join LSAPs. The second application period closes April 15th. Anne is informed the other day that she's reaching out to the one library who had expressed some more definitive interest to see if they're going to apply during that second round. And it would be a larger award for them. So these under budget expenditures are also due to a timing difference between the budget for the My Library Is grants and the actual application window. This window is open through today. So I don't know how many applications have been received, but I'm sure quite a large number due to the number received this last year. And I know Dan can provide some more detail if he wants to jump in.
67 applications.
That is very
We
exciting.
had 50 last year.
That is very exciting. So additionally, we do have a normal week's delay in receiving and paying our delivery outsourcing vendor. And we continue to have favorable gas prices for both ourselves and our delivery outsourcing vendor, which affects contractual services as well as our own fuel expenditures. Vehicle expenditures were below budget. The primary reason was the payment for the December fuel card invoice was accidentally overlooked in January, the payment that should have happened in January. The past due amount for December was paid early in February when we paid the normal January invoice. That's when this was discovered. It was paid immediately. Rails did incur a $4,039.40 finance charge on the total outstanding balance. This is essentially a credit card that we charge fuel to. We have looked at our procedures, examined things. We have instituted a detailed checklist that we are following on a monthly basis to make sure that this type of oversight does not happen again. Additionally, what I mentioned above, fuel prices have, thank goodness, been consistently below what we had budgeted for. We had budgeted $4.25 per gallon. We've been around, I think at our worst, $3.25 per gallon at the tax exempt rate that we receive. There's also been less of a need for repairs and maintenance due to our having replaced over half of our delivery fleet. And just yesterday, we received word that the lift gates had been delivered to our dealership that we're expecting our last 2 box trucks from. They will install those very, very soon. And as soon as they are installed, they will deliver our last 2 box trucks to us and we will be complete for our vehicle purchases. We finished paying, additionally, in early February, we finished paying for all of the labor that was involved to rebrand the entire Rails delivery fleet. The vehicles look very, very nice, by the way. I got a chance to see our shuttle vehicle that goes between Bolingbrook and Burr Ridge. The total cost of that project came in well under budget, and this is primarily due to less than anticipated labor costs to install those new decals. It's surprising how cheaply people will play with little bubbles and stickers for you. So additional major cost categories that were under budget include travel. This is basically due to timing differences and our joint systems board meeting that had been budgeted for that was canceled this year. Professional services expenditures were under budget, and this is just several projects that just haven't happened yet this year, but are still planned to happen this year, including a website accessibility audit and legal expenditures. Personnel is also under budget. This is due to just the normal recruitment delays in filling our open positions. A temporary communications position is in process of being filled. That's the last open position that we have, and I understand we're close to hiring for that position, as confirmed just now. And that is just about all that I have. Do any of you have any questions that I can answer?
I have a question.
Yes.
In regards to the savings, due to the databases, are we investing that into the prime accounts or are we?
So it's just it was included in the budget.
Yeah.
At our normal amount. So yes, it's just going to be savings to us. And we are looking to redirect some of our budget that we had set aside for some of the things included in our facilities assessment for other things that are becoming higher priority needs, like some thermal pane windows. We replaced one of the windows in Joe's office because it cracked. So we're looking to reallocate some money
Great.
across the budget to do these one-time things that are coming up.
I have a question.
Karen?
Under the hires and fires, little under summary,
Yes.
if you know what I'm gonna ask.
I'm
If that's not a mistake that you hired somebody and then the same guy was also fired.
no,
same month?
no, it is not a mistake. He was with us 2 days total.
And terminations don't mean fired. It just means that they.
I know,
left
but he's
service.
gone.
I just want to make.
Here and then he's not here. And it just seemed maybe they typed the wrong, because that seemed.
Yes, it was the first time since I can remember that this has happened, Karen. Well, thank you. That's a great question. I didn't quite know how to mention that in the report, so I just left it as is.
We'll have Sam later on. Always has a smile. All right. Does anyone have any questions or any comments? Sharon? No? All right, splendid. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank you.
Let's move on to reports. Rarely I have something to say, and I do this time. Regarding the nominating committee, Mr. Alex here, our 2-year president, has agreed to serve as the chair. Thank you, Alex. Julie Malavik, to my right. Julie will join him as well former board member Tom Stagg, Stephanie Neeson from the Rockford University, and Kathy Clark from the American Academy of Pediatrics. We have 6 seats up for election, 2 at-large seats, Julie and myself. 1 special library seat, Catherine. Hi, Catherine. And 2 3-year term public library trustee seats, Diane Hollister and Carolyn Sennett, and 1 2-year term public library trustee seat to fill the vacancy of Annabelle Goyle. If you need a clarification, you look at a piece of paper that will tell you essentially all the open seats. So yeah, so it should be a lot of fun. The next thing is the committee reports. Does anyone have any questions regard to that report? No? All right, let's move on. To the committee chair or committee chairs, your packet include the committee reports. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding their contents? The excitement is on the air. All right. Let us move on to the Rails monthly report. Monica, you have the floor.
Thank you, Renee, and good afternoon, everybody. So I did want to start with one of the things that I think is most pressing for most of our members right now, and some of you may have also received questions, and that is around Rails funding and also some of the federal funding changes that have happened. So as many of you are aware, in late January, there were freezes to federal funding that were ordered through the Trump administration's executive orders. There have been several court challenges that have been made to those orders, and the ultimate fate of where federal funding for many different agencies, including IMLS, remains unclear. So there have been many, many questions that have been received by Rails about the impacts of federal funding on Rails and on our library partners. In an attempt to kind of communicate a lot of this to our members, we have well, we've taken a variety of different tacks, including sharing relevant information during our February Rails Minute, the member update that was on February 11th. We've shared updates during board committee meetings and our staff meeting on February 18th. Our Rails communication team has also developed a new informational campaign that some of you may have seen on social media called Rails Numbers That Count. And that's meant to sort of get at not just how Rails is funded, but also tell a little bit of the story of what that funding then does for members that receive the services that Rails and other systems provide. So we really want to encourage you to continue to look at those and to pass on the questions that you receive so that we can be proactive about answering those as best we can. And we will remain in contact, of course, with the Illinois State Library about all these issues. We expect to hear more about fiscal 26 dollars at the March ISLAC meeting. That'll come up right before our March meeting, and then the state library should be able to share a bit more about their budget priorities. But as Sharon, of course, shared during the financial report, that in good news that the Rails that we did receive our LSTA federal funding payment. That's the piece that comes from IMLS, and that's Rails area and per capita grant totaling $1,936,143.79. So with the receipt of those funds, Rails has received the full amount of our fiscal 2025 grant. And we really want to express our sincere thanks to the Illinois Secretary of State and the Illinois State Library for their efforts and support in securing these funds. This is really important. And I know Mandy's going to be speaking later. So I'll leave it there for now. But before we get into the rest of the report, I did want to ask if there were any questions, comments, anything that anyone wanted to note on this issue.
Well, there's a lot I want to know about this. But, you know, I'll wait till everybody figures out what they know.
Yeah, we will certainly continue to let you know more as we know more, and this will probably be a topic at our board meetings for many months to come. But I really appreciate the support of the board, and as you probably saw in a lot of the messaging that has come through our many different avenues, that the strong kind of fiduciary focus and management that the Rails board has put into our own reserves and the way that Rails has been managed means that we feel confident that we will be able to continue to provide services to members. And so I do want to express our thanks to the work that you all do to make sure that we're able to provide those services that are so important to our library. So thank you. I will jump into the rest of the report. Before I do, I just wanted to share one update that didn't make it into the report. This is related to Voices for Libraries Conference. This is something that COSLA is putting together that is a legislative effort for federal legislators that was coming up March 4th through 6th. That event is still moving forward, but unfortunately our small but mighty Illinois delegation was unable to secure meetings with our federal legislators because of many competing priorities that they have at this moment, especially around the budget. We really only had one day in order to secure those meetings and we weren't able to do so. So we're shifting focus and instead of heading directly to DC to have those meetings, we're going to be working on scheduling meetings in Illinois with our federal legislators. And so I think that some of the work we will be doing will be in cooperation with the Illinois Library Association and other partners to make sure that we can meet directly with as many federal legislators as possible. And that may mean that some of you who are in some of these districts that might have relationships to your federal legislators, that we can get some meetings to talk about the importance of these funds. We may be reaching out to you and of course many of our other members. So I did want to make sure that you were aware of that. Because I will no longer be in DC on March 4th, I do now have the opportunity to present on a panel at the libraries as partners for emergency preparedness and response in times of crisis. This is part of an IMLS grant that we are part of with the Illinois Fire Service Institute. That's about how libraries can better prepare for disasters and emergencies. Part of this will just be really listening. It'll be sitting in breakouts with people who want to know what libraries are really missing when it comes to the kinds of supports that come from the state when it comes to emergency and disaster planning. This is a heavy area of interest for many of us here at Rails, including myself. And so I'm looking forward to being able to participate on that next week. I did give you kind of a short rundown of some of the Illinois legislative updates. There's of course a lot happening at the state level as well. After this report went out, we actually got our updated report from the Public Policy Committee with 100 bills that they're kind of spotlighting and looking at as we move through the legislative season. The ones that I did highlight for you here in the report are ones that we had recently become aware of that are very focused on libraries. So we just wanted to make sure that you were aware of those. Some of those are actually task forces, which is kind of a new, not a new approach, but something that we haven't seen a lot in the library world in the last few years. And that includes Senate Bill 1741. That is one that requires the State Board of Education to establish and convene a licensed school librarian task force that would kind of talk about the importance of having certified school librarians and would potentially even involve the involvement of Rails. So we're looking forward to see how that one moves forward. Senate Bill 2124, the Let America Read Act. This is another one that IL let us know about because they have been involved with it. And it's providing that the State Board of Education that does have oversight over the instructional materials used in public schools, create a grievance procedure for challenges to instructional materials as well as those that are in the school library. Illinois Senate Joint Resolution 13 creates a university library and professional librarian access and transparency task force to examine the current state of libraries and professional librarianship in Illinois public university campuses. This is of a lot of interest to many of our members, especially in light of what happened recently at Western Illinois University. So this is another one we're watching what's next. And then Senate Bill 0104 urges all public library trustees to participate in ongoing training programs provided by the Illinois Secretary of State to strengthen their ability to effectively oversee library operations and services. So this one is essentially focused on enhancing library trustee training opportunities, perhaps even requiring them in order for those folks to serve as trustees. This is one that Rails also has a lot of interest in. Joe went so far as to write a potential proposal for this. And so we were contacted along with ILA and Heartland to speak with some of the folks who were sort of interested in making this happen. And so we did share a little bit about the meeting that we had on February 10th. And we're looking forward to another potential meeting with Senator Laura Murphy to talk about what might be possible in a bill like this. But there are many, many other bills that are also going to be of interest to libraries that are going to be covered during this legislative season, and we'll be sure to continue to share those. Also, definitely continue to watch the Illinois Library Association's legislative issues page. That's the best place to kind of get information about what they're working on in terms of advocacy. Also wanted to make sure all of you were aware that you should be seeing a statement of economic interest form coming to your mailbox sometime soon. Those are required to be filled out on or before May 1st. If you need help or need other supports in getting that done, we'll let you know, but you should expect to see that in mid-March. We also wanted to make sure that you know about a couple of FAQs and memos that were released by Rails this month. One is one we had been at work on for quite some time. That was the meeting room FAQ that we worked on with Ansel Glink. We actually put a call out to our members to ask about their questions related to public libraries, questions related to meeting rooms and the First Amendment. There's been some libraries in the news recently around this issue. And so there were a lot of folks that had questions about how to make sure that their policies were as up to date as they could be. Ansel Glink looked over those questions and provided an FAQ document. And Julie Tappendorf also presented at our February 11th member update if you want to take a look and didn't have an opportunity to see her speak on that. But that document is also available on the Rails website for anyone who has an interest in that. We also, with some of the changes that happened related to other executive orders, we had a lot of members who were interested in updates related to immigration enforcement and ICE. So our partners at Ansel Glink updated the immigration and customs enforcement guidance that Rails offered back in 2017 to be up to date to 2025. That has been shared with our members. And we do really want to thank Ansel Glink for doing such quick work on that so that we were able to meet the needs of our members in an effective and efficient way. There are a lot of other things in this report, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. Just encourage you to take a look, especially at those top three that are highlighted in this month at Rails, about some of the new things we have moving forward with broadband and digital equity. We're really excited about a new Chicago Tribune deal, which a lot of people have been waiting for a long time. And of course, we've got a new inaugural, very first time Rails data conference coming up right before ILA. So we're really excited about a lot. It's been a really busy month. So I just wanted to offer any opportunity for questions, comments, anything that you all would like to share.
it's been on my mind for a while. I just received my statement of economic interest for Bloomington, and then I have another one for here, for
Yes.
Hales. But recently, well, I had cataract surgery and I tried to get my OMA and my FOIA retaken. Well, I had a hard time doing it because this is required by the government center in Bloomington. I couldn't get on. I tried for 3 days and I called Jeannie, my director. The reason I couldn't get on is they have my records from Rails. So I had no clue. So I missed the date. I went down there to the government center, you know, fearful that I would be kicked off of Rails and kicked off of
Oh, no.
board. And I asked, can I please have an extension? And even right now, I can't see very well from this eye. And but to the doctor, it's just got to heal. But is it necessary to duplicate all of this? And especially when I don't know if it's coming to Happy 726 or Diane Hollister, you know, how often, why do we have to take it every year? And that's what I've heard. We're gonna have to take these, and I mean, they're not hard, and I'm not trying to be lazy, but sometimes it's annoying. It's like, I thought I just did that. But is that,
There is the requirement that we fill this out every single year, and that's just coming from the state of Illinois. Now we can try to find out a little bit more about some of the issues that you were having in terms of the contact and being listed for multiple places. Because of course, many of you who are serving as trustees especially might have to fill it out twice. So we can work with you on trying to get that fixed. Diane, I'm sorry you ran into
But
that.
excuse me, but are you talking about OMA through the through the Attorney General's office, or are you talking about the ethics?
attorney,
Yeah, that's a separate thing, but, well, we can go over it. Yeah.
I've taken it before, so.
We don't, we require that once you're on the board, but only the OMA officer has to take it yearly. But if Bloomington has something separate, that's just Bloomington. You don't have to take that every year for.
I talked to Jeannie about this and she said, I don't understand why you have to do this either, because this is something new that's being imposed. So I don't know if she's going to speak to the people at the government center in Bloomington or what, and I don't want to stir the pot. But we've talked about it because she sent me a heads up that I'm going to be getting this other statement of economic interest. She goes, and it is legitimate. So I have no problem with that, but it's like, good grief. It just seems like we're doing this all the time.
No, thank you. We can look into it and see what we can do to help.
Question. Is this Chicago Tribune deal open to all types of libraries?
And Lynn was in the room with us. Yeah, Leila, can you speak to that?
Sure. No, the public, it's open to the public libraries, and we are actually running a trial now, a pilot, because we want to make sure that their authentication and the product itself is stable. So at this point, it is just for publics. But we understand that there would be some interest in academics at some point, but we expect it'll take several months to get this pilot completed, and then if it's okay to roll it out to the publics. Thanks for
Forward to
asking.
hearing more.
Thank you, Gwen.
I had a question about the SRO 104. Could you share what the nature of the training is? Is it like general board training, like parliamentary processes, that sort of thing, or is it specific to libraries?
So it's not defined exactly what that training would be at this time. There is training, of course, that is available through the iLead platform that is offered by the Illinois Heartland Library System and paid for by the Illinois State Library. But a lot of what we shared when we were talking about this process were some of the requirements that are through the state of New Jersey and the state of New York, which do require a certain number of hours of training for trustees through their state system. So, but it really depends on what, is decided and if this even moves forward. But there is interest in pursuing perhaps the idea of it. Anything you would, Joe really
No,
knows the
just,
most about
you know,
this.
like if we use Illinois school boards as an example, there are requirements, school board members and there is both an hours component, but I believe there's one or two required sort of categories of training that they're expected to do. So whether it would be as simple as this many hours or this many hours with this kind of core topic, I think that still remains to be seen. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Monica. Keep continuing the hard work. That seems like a lot. Oh, it's multiple pages. If there are no further questions or comments, let's move on to Jessica Barnes with the Explore More Illinois update.
Hey, thanks. My name is Jessica Barnes. I'm special projects here, librarian here at Rails, and I head up the Explore More Illinois online cultural and recreational pass program that we run. So just wanted to let you know a little information about our year in review 2024. In 2024, we had 352 Rails libraries, 94 IHLS and Chicago Public Library participate in Explore More Illinois. So we're at over 80% Rails Public Library participation in the program. In 2024, we had 83 permanent and seasonal attractions, which is our highest number ever since we started in 2020. And you can see the most popular attractions under current attractions. And these are most popular attractions that are open to all libraries. So this was also our first full year of having all three systems participate. All public libraries now are eligible to join Explore More Illinois in the state of Illinois, regardless of their system. So really 2024 is going to be our baseline for statistics moving forward because Chicago Public Library joined June 1st last year. So we'll have a full year of Explore More Illinois. I'm sorry, they joined in 2023. So 2024 will be like the first full year that all three systems were on. So that will kind of be our baseline statistical year. Some things we're looking forward to this year. We just finished up a new logo and we'll be doing a new marketing campaign that will go out this spring. So every library that's participating in Explore More Illinois will receive new marketing material in the mail that they can share with their patrons, as well as a digital package with social media posts, logos, and things that digital signage and things that they can share with their patrons in-house. I'm working with Ola Gronsky for an Explore More with Jessica social media campaign. So each month I'm going to a different attraction and kind of writing a postcard from that attraction. It's been a lot of fun. So in January, I went to the Museum of Science and Industry. And this month I went to the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next 10 months as well. Stacy Palmisano is one of our administrative assistants, and she also works on the Explore More Illinois project with me. We're going to be focusing on attracting park districts. We think that makes a lot of sense since so many libraries partner with their park districts, and there's so many locations at park districts that we think are a natural fit to be part of the program. So that's where we're going to be focusing some of our time this year. And we're also continuing our community college pilot. We have 4 community colleges in Explore More Illinois right now. We're trying to add at least 1 a semester. Again, they have a lot of attractions that make sense. We just added the Oakton College Performing Arts Center this week to our offerings. And this also alleviates the problem with unserved residents. Those residents can get community college cards and use Explore More Illinois, even if they don't have a home library. On the second page, I just have some statistics, and you can see a breakdown from 2019 to 2024 of our reservations. So in 2024, we just had over 32,000 reservations, which is by far the most reservations we've had since we started in 2019. But even if you take away the Chicago Public Library residents, you can see from 2023 to 2024, we were 2,000 more reservations from 2023 to 2024. So it's been a huge jump in usage, even if you take away CPL. We have our top overall attractions in 2024. Our top 5 were the Museum of Science and Industry, Art Institute of Chicago, the Peggy Note Barrett Nature Museum, Brookfield Zoo, and the Field Museum. Now, the starred attractions mean that those attractions are not open to all public libraries. There are some attractions that are only open to Chicago Public Library. There's some attractions that are just open to libraries nearby that attraction. So if they're starred, it just means that it's not available to all public libraries. You can also see the top attractions outside of Cook County. The DuPage Children's Museum was #1. We also had Volo Museum, the Peoria Riverfront Museum, Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum, and Anderson Japanese Gardens in Rockford. We also have the top 11 libraries who made reservations. I do top 11 because CPL is going to be #1. So we'll make that #1 and then do the other top 10. If you take away Chicago Public Library, it's very, to me, in my opinion, it's very dispersed. There's a lot of library. It's not just dominated by one library. We're looking forward to new attractions this year. I just finalized the Normal Corn Belters, which is a collegiate baseball team this summer. We're adding, we've added the Chicago Hounds, which is professional rugby in Chicago. And we have a new, there's a new professional women's team that's coming to town, and I've just been in talks with them. So yeah, we're adding a lot of new attractions as we speak. Morton Arboretum just finalized with us. They are offering to 80 public libraries in the Chicagoland area to start with. So yeah, lots of new attractions happening and new partners and returning partners that we're working with. So our goal is to break the 83 record and have more attractions this year. Does anybody have any questions or? Yes, yeah.
A year or so back, I think there was some discussion about possibly rebranding Explore More Illinois, because there was another Explore More Illinois.
Yes. Okay. So, yes. So the Department of Natural Resources, after we came out with our Explore More Illinois, the DNR's website portal for renewals is called Explore More IL. So when that happened, yes, I was getting a lot of calls to renew gun licenses, change campground reservations, all kinds of things. We did put a disclaimer on our website saying that we are not part of the DNR. The phone calls have cut down, but I do know when it's like a new season, like a new hunting season, or the day that campground reservations, sometimes I'll get a phone call or two. It's not been as much of a problem as it was maybe 4 years ago when the DNR launched their site. I also am hoping to make contact with someone at the DNR that we can do some kind of partnership to work with the DNR to work together. I don't know how confusing that would be if we both have Explore More ILs on our website, but I think it would be great to do a partnership with the DNR if possible. They are already a free resource. There's no admission to go to any of the state parks, which is fantastic. So I don't know how that would all work, but yeah, it hasn't been as much of a problem. And when we did the new logo, we actually decided not to do a rename. I think when Chicago Public Library joined the program, there was a lot of press about Explore More Illinois, and we felt the name was really out there and it would be kind of confusing to change the name at that point. So we decided to keep the name, but we're really excited about the new logo. And Dan, I don't know if you want to jump in. Dan's team, yes.
Did not do a Google.
We also tried to do an in-house contest for a new name, and we were not really happy with any of the submissions either. There was nothing that seemed to really stick. So we did talk about it briefly.
You mentioned that about 80% of the libraries participate.
Yes.
What is the reasoning for the other 20 not?
I would say, okay, so for most of the other 20, we are they tend to be very small libraries, and most of them are not on an ILS that supports API or SIP2 connection, which is how the easiest way for our software to work with those. We do have a way for small ILS and no ILS libraries to authenticate with their patrons. It requires them to do an Excel spreadsheet that we upload to the software, and we do have a couple libraries who are doing that. But the majority of that other 20% are not on a sophisticated enough ILS that easily connects to our software.
Good question.
Our next enrollment period is April 1st. We're extending that enrollment period a little bit longer because of our new marketing campaign. So April 1st, will be the opportunity for new libraries to join. This is something we started last year. We had at that point had just rolling joining periods. You could just join at any period. We found having 2 periods a year where libraries could join increased interest, and we were actually getting more libraries joining when we had set periods. So April 1st, and then approximately sometime into June is when the period of libraries can join.
I know my patrons are going to be happy that Morton Arboretum is now on the list.
Well, like I said, hopefully your library's on it. Yeah, there's about 80 libraries that they've worked with. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes attractions are a little cautious at the beginning, and then we can talk to them about the different options that the software provides. And some do tend to then extend the offer to other libraries as they move forward. So, yeah.
Best way to refer potential new attractions.
One thing we're really excited about is I've noticed in the last year, attractions are coming to us, which makes it so much easier when attraction has heard about our program and says we want to join rather than us having to recruit. On our website, which is exploremoreillinois.org, we have an attraction suggestion form. This would allow a library to fill out the form, but it also allows an attraction themselves to fill out the form. And we find as library staff, if you know the contact there, it is much easier for us to finish the recruitment process rather than us cold calling attractions. So if we can say, we got your number from Julie, that really helps the process a lot. But if you have an idea for an attraction, you can just fill out the form. It goes directly to our team and we will reach out to the contact. I want to stress too, there's no attraction that's too small. We have community theater groups, community orchestras. We have 1 or 2 day festivals that happen in communities. So if you have a corn festival, a blueberry festival, we can work with those kinds of things too. It doesn't have to be the Art Institute. It can be a historical society. It can be an attraction that has free admission and might just want to give away a postcard or a pen when you come in. Also, as libraries, if you have a special event in your library, you can yourself be an attraction if that's the way that you want to try to recruit people to come in for that attraction or special exhibit.
There's a children's program in Payless Park that does mud pie throwing. So most definitely we'll contact them. Does anyone else have any more comments or questions? Well, thank you so much, Jessica. It looks like a lot of fun.
It's a really fun project to work on and it's great to read. We do surveys that we send out to people who make reservations. It's great to read things like, this is something my family could have never afforded if we didn't have this discount, or this was a place we had never heard of and now we're looking forward to our next visit. So reading the surveys is really great.
Excited to see the logo. Hopefully it doesn't contain a duck. But it was a logo done with Library Market, right?
Yes, they were a great company to work with. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna move on with Miss Mandy with the report from the State Library. Welcome, Mandy.
Thanks for having me today. Where'd my report go? So just disappeared off the screen. So in terms of federal funding, this is what we know. Our communications with IMLS have all been to continue as business as usual. And as Monica and Sharon mentioned, we did receive our recent request for reimbursement from the FY24 LSTA award, and we were successful in paying out the remaining funds to both IHLS and Rails for year system area and per capita awards. We do not know the status of IMLS funding in the federal budget reconciliation package that Congress is working on now. But of course, as soon as we know anything, we will alert the systems and their board. In other grant news, the school library district grant award letters are being prepared and will be going out very soon. We are also in the process of reviewing the 639 public library per capita and equalization grants. Everyone so far has submitted, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through reviewing, so we're in really good shape for that process. The Illinois tax exemption letters they all have been mailed. We actually did get one call today. Somebody, didn't have theirs in an email. So if anybody needs, if anybody's missing theirs, have them contact us and we'll make sure that we get those out. The expiration date on those is March 1st. And then just in one other little piece of news, public libraries across the state will soon be receiving an invitation to complete a rural library service for sustainability survey. This survey is intended to explore the current rural library services that have been expanding to meet diversifying community needs and their local impact on communities. While small rural libraries are typically considered those that serve under 25,000, this is not a hard and fast rule. Essentially, the library should decide whether or not they're a small rural library. This is an IMLS funded project that is being administered by Indiana University, and all libraries serving a population of under 25,000 are encouraged to complete the survey. The deadline to submit will be March 14th, and those completing the survey are entered into a drawing to receive an Amazon gift card. And that is all I have for today. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. Greatly appreciate it, and short and simple and sweet. So
Yeah,
that's what.
it's Friday.
Okay, let's move on to new business. Starting with Sharon with the Rails investment portfolio review.
Thank you, Renee. And this is something that Rails is required in Rails' fiscal accountability policy. The policy requires the Rails board to review the investment portfolio twice a year to assess its effectiveness in meeting Rails' need for safety, liquidity, rate of return, diversification, and the general performance of our investment portfolio. So the list of investments and deposits as of January 31st is in your packet. So since January, I did want to note Rails has had 4 CDs mature. You will see those CDs listed in this listing at the top of the CD section. We have made the decision to reinvest those funds into 4 new 2-year CDs with an average interest rate of 4.179% to maintain that whole investment portfolio at approximately $4 million that we set up several years ago. The majority of Rails' funds are held in liquid accounts, as you will see in this listing, with the Hinsdale Bank and Trust. These include both the Rails checking account and the money market account that we have with them. The checking account is kept in minimal balance to maximize our interest income and our rate of return that we get from our money market account. So these 2 accounts are secured with a combination of both FDIC insurance coverage and then a separate collateral. For the remainder, Wintrust is able to extend their FDIC insurance coverage because they have a network of banks with different charters. So they separate our deposits out into $250,000 increments between the 16 charter banks in their network to extend the FDIC insurance coverage to, I believe it's 4 million now. They acquired a brand new charter yet again, so they were able to add that to their list. And the mortgage-backed collateral secures the rest of our money. It's held in Rails' name and by a third party in compliance with the Illinois Public Funds Investment Act. The remainder of the liquid portion of Rails' funds are held in money market accounts with both Illinois Funds and PMA in the ISC account that's set up in conjunction with our CDs that we have with PMA. This account is meant to collect the interest, coupon interest that we earn from our CDs, as well as serve as a repository and a place to deposit the funds from any CDs that have matured while we make the decision to either transfer those funds to our other accounts or to reinvest those funds with PMA. So the Illinois Funds is collateralized by repurchase agreements at 102% of our balance, which is in compliance with the Illinois Public Funds Investment Act. The PMA account is collateralized similarly to Wintrust by spreading the balances between banks in the Intrafine network deposits program to stay below those FDIC insurance limits. So basically the same setup, only the original CDARS program that was in existence. So the Illinois Funds is currently earning 4.556%, and the PMA account is currently earning 4.315%. So they are closely tracking the market rates at this point, the market interest rates. Rails' current investments consist of 17 CDs, as well as a very small number of US Treasury bonds that Rails was bequeathed by a former Alliance Library System staff member who passed many, many years ago. Both types of investments are fully backed or insured by the US government or FDIC insurance, and Rails' investments have a total face value of $4,079,948. The current market value of the CDs are approximately 13.3% of Rails' total cash and investment balance. So our investments are a very small portion of our total cash. And I want to just open up the floor for any questions that anyone may have about the performance or the mix of our investments, or any thoughts that any of you have.
Thank you, Sharon. I think that our reports are always so thorough, and every month I feel like I can follow along with where all of the Rails investments are, because we see them every month. And so you can just follow right along with it. And so when we get to these reviews, it's really, seen it.
Thank you so much, Julie. I appreciate that. We want to be very transparent. This is part of our
Absolutely.
transparency.
All right, if there's no more questions or concerns or comments. Always nice seeing you, Sharon. Thank you so much. Next, we have our dearest Monica, which I've just noticed she does not have any form of liquid to after your lungs. Oh, okay. Because I'm just like, where's your water? You should be drinking. We have Monica with the spring offsite board meeting. This is just for discussion.
Thank you, Renee. So as many of you who have been on the board for a while know that typically as part of a board, we like to do some meetings offsite. This is for a couple of reasons. It allows us to kind of meet directly with members who might be in the area, might not normally have the chance to kind of interact with Rails staff and the Rails board. So it's a chance for you to meet with them. It's also a chance for you to often see member libraries that you may not have seen before. And so we do like to offer this a couple times a year when possible. The last one we did was at the Bloomington Public Library back in September. We got to see their beautiful new building, which was wonderful. But we did want to offer the opportunity for the board to discuss the potential to meet offsite coming up this spring. We included for you 4 upcoming board dates, including March 28th, April 25th, March 23rd, which we do want to note because of the holiday weekend. That's right before Memorial Day weekend starts. That meeting starts at 10 a.m. So that one can potentially be a difficult one to schedule offsite, but that's just, we can do whatever you all want to do. And then Friday, June 20th. At 1 p.m. So those are some potential upcoming dates. We did ask you to take a look at your calendars, but also just to think about your own desires. If there are certain places,
Stay in Illinois, right?
you have to stay. Yes, stay in the rail service area is really our specifics that we'd like to offer. But yes, outside of that, the world is our oyster. But I did want to just open the floor in case there are thoughts, if anyone had specific things that they wanted to share as part of this discussion.
I like going south, because mainly I'm north. So, I mean, that has no, but I really enjoyed the Bloomington Library. I don't see why we couldn't do that again, or Peoria. I don't know what other big libraries with big rooms there are down there, but I would
There are some libraries that are relatively large and newer construction that we could visit. It's always a matter of just coordinating schedules and trying to see what is available for them. But I know Galesburg has been mentioned multiple times. I know one, and we haven't spoken with them, so I'm not sure if that is even a possibility for them. I know sometimes hotels can be an issue in certain areas, so that's always something that we have to consider. But there's a lot of options.
But like Peoria and Bloomington, we're a little over an hour, hour and a half maybe. So that was a good drive. Like, so people who couldn't stay over could make it there that day,
Yes.
Not everybody can stay over. So you want to try and stay in an area where people can still come to that day if they want to. But
And just dates wise, I want to note that in April, the Rails Consortia Committee is scheduled to meet at 10 a.m. And then the board is scheduled in the afternoon. So for those of us who do both those meetings, I would recommend against April. How about that?
Great point, Julie. Thank you.
But we could hold the consortium meeting wherever we are.
Wherever we are, if everyone's willing to travel.
And people are always
don't have-
welcome to attend.
They can the consortia and board can still come here. It could be a location.
Yes, just for anybody who may not be as familiar with this process, you're welcome to attend from wherever you choose. So if you normally attend at Burridge and you'd like to attend at Burridge, even if other folks are in other areas, that's certainly available to you. It's just an opportunity to really connect with more of the membership and see more of the service area.
I went to 10.
Put in the chat. Hi, this is Emily. I put in the chat that it'd be really fun if everybody came to Rockford.
Another new construction,
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
library. Yes.
And there's a really beautiful hotel like 2 blocks away. It'd be fun downtown.
A lot of Explore Illinois.
I was just at.
Emily's like, that's a 10-minute drive. Yeah, I actually
Had a
have
meeting.
no problem going.
We've not had a meeting in Rockford since I've been with Rails, so that's 5 years at least.
Yeah. Well, I will say going to Rockford just to see the new library would be great. Obviously seeing Emily in person, right? But
I could literally
Okay.
walk to the library if I wanted to.
Well, so we have a couple of options, I think, to look at in terms of locations. Are there preferences potentially on dates?
I don't know if anyone that attends the board meetings would be at computers and libraries, but that goes in March and that kind of heads into that Friday. So as far as travel goes, I don't know if people will be back from that conference if they're going, but just wanted to throw that out there that could be a lot of travel in 1 week for people who are going to be there. I don't know if it's relevant to the board, but
lining up to June 20th.
what's that?
Looks like June 20th is like the best month because April is out, March. Then May's with the holiday, so I think some people are taking vacation days. Dan's going on vacation, right, Dan? No, I forget Dan.
The June meeting is the last meeting for some of our board members typically. And so we do like to honor them. That doesn't mean that we can't do an offsite meeting, in order to do that. That's typically what happens at the June meeting.
One other thought on a venue, I think the Rockford one's great, but I was thinking, I once attended a really nice librarian event at the Chicago Botanic Gardens. It was to they had purchased, I want to say it was the New England, it was a collection of like 17th century drawings of botanic books. You have to wear gloves and it's in a temperature controlled room. So it was kind of cool. So I don't know if there's any other places like that.
Question. Any other thoughts or anything anyone wants to note or share?
Galesburg is a wonderful idea.
So I think we have some options that we can look at. in terms of seeing who's available. Would June be the preference? That's sort of what I was hearing in the room. Is that all right if that's the date we pursue?
Sure. Let's be here.
June 20th.
Well, we can look into this and try to see what we can find and come back at a future meeting, perhaps as soon as next month, with some ideas of what we might have available. But thank you all for your perspective. We really appreciate it.
All right, let's continue with this party. And it looks like Monica's up again with board development. Monica.
Well, I never get to present board development, so I'm really excited today. Typically, as you all know, we present 2 different topics each month to the board. One is service of the month, and that really focuses on a department or service that we offer here at Rails, so you can get a bit more of a deep dive into what that's like. And then the other piece is board development. Now, sometimes that does involve a new Rails service or something new that's happening at Rails, but it often involves just another way to learn something that might help with your service here at Rails. But it's been a long time since we have asked you all what you would like to learn as part of these board development topics. And so Dan and I are working soon on our fiscal year 26 topic list and trying to line up some speakers and topics in terms of what you want to talk about. I did include in the memo some potential topics that folks might be interested in considering, but really the world is your oyster. We can kind of find something to speak to different topics that you think might be helpful to your experience here at Rails. Now, I know some of you have been trustees for quite some time here at Rails and know a lot about what that service entails and what it's helpful to know. But some of you are newer and you might say, you know, it would be really helpful if you focused on this in your board service so that I could understand quicker about this thing or this service that you do. So I really wanted to just offer this as a more open forum opportunity for you all to really share what it's most helpful for you to know, what types of things really resonate with you when it comes to these board meetings. But really, this is your time, your volunteers. I so appreciate all of the effort and time that you put into the Rails board. So we want this to be a positive experience for you. And so we just want to hear more about what you want out of these meetings. Anybody willing to start off our discussion?
So of these potential topics, advocacy seems like it's going to be more and more important in the next few years. So I think that would be a good focus.
Ditto for intellectual freedom and combating censorship.
I like the one, the recruitment and retention of trustees, especially recruitment and from the different geographic locations, because I think I'm the last man standing in Central Illinois. And it is very important. And I've shared this before when I used to go to the libraries just unannounced, talk to the small libraries in different counties surrounding McLean. When I go in there and say, I'm from Rails, what can I do? You know, what do you like? What do you see that's missing? And that was very, very rewarding going. But then when I would talk to the library directors or anybody that was there, I'd say, you ever considered running for Rails? Oh, me? I mean, I think, and as I've mentioned before, I think it's a lot of intimidation, not, I guess they've never seen it. And if they don't get that confidence building director or whomever, you know, their supervisor, I think they just think, well, I can't do it. I can't do it, or this is just for library directors only. And some of them don't have the exposure. They don't know what certain things are that are pretty familiar to all of us. So I think it's important to be more inclusive and have a more diverse membership as far as geographic location. We don't all live, you know, and I'm not trying to have a them and us mentality. It's just we're all Rails people, and you know, from the top and from each border. So I think that that's just one thing that's just really got to be, you know, it can't be emphasized enough. And if I were still going to be here, which I'm not, I would like to see something done so there are more voices that are heard, even from the little libraries that I visited. I mean, people are just flabbergasted when I ask them, ever thought about it? You know, so I think there's got to be a lot of, I don't know, encouragement, polite encouragement and visits, getting to know one another instead of strangers, because even though I'm in Bloomington, I used to be in Peoria, and don't know people at the next larger market around mine. I mean, maybe we'll see each other in passing at ILA, but that's it. You know, one thing that helped when I was, after I graduated, U of I, library science, we had this gathering, and it was called, it was so good, and we could, okay, someone would invite alums, and we'd all, you know, talk about our libraries and exchange ideas. I think it's just so wonderful to have friendships and call someone and say, hey, I'm having this program, or hey, we're doing this, we're having problems, whatever it is, and just talk amongst ourselves and have a coffee or meet once in a while. I'm not saying to displace Rails, but I mean, that's how to get to know one another. And I just can't emphasize it enough.
Thank you, Diane. The geographic diversity is truly important to our membership as well. So it's an important piece to mention.
For the example of EDI, or DEI, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to have diversity on board. Yeah, Jennifer.
So one of the things that I've noticed that Rails is doing extremely well for the member population is sending out, like, having visits, like, you know, explore more with Jessica and, you know, other visits and things like that. But it might be nice to hear more, like, I don't have kids, so I don't have a lot of experience with school libraries because I haven't been in school for a very long time. Even like it's been a very long time since I was in university. So like maybe doing a highlight each meeting about like an elementary school library and have everybody answer or talk for the same 5 questions or the same 5 topics. And then that way it gives a little bit more of exposure and highlight to all of the different types of people that are working, or excuse me, types of libraries that are working in the rail service population. Like just meet and greet, but also, you know, I mean, like I said, when's the last time I've been in a elementary school library?
I like that idea.
Pretty cool.
Emily, I know you got your hand raised.
So I know that most of us have a lot of board experience. But I do think that, especially now in this political climate, I think that it would be really great to have like some kind of board training on decorum and the role of the board and the, you know, how we function even when there is disagreement. And on this board, I mean, we're all kind of in the same headspace most of the time. I think this is kind of a hard thing to pitch to us. But I do think that it's important to know, like, you know, if I have a question or if I have a concern, like, do I call Renee or do I send Monica an email? Or I think that there's a lot of little nuances about being on a board and what is appropriate. Maybe we could talk about those things. Maybe evaluating the bylaws, how to improve your bylaws. I don't know. That's
Very
my 2
good
cents.
topic. Definitely.
We do have a lot of members that do watch the recordings, so even if it doesn't pertain to us, there'll be a lot of members, especially in the rural, small libraries, that will most definitely take advantage of that. So, yeah, I totally agree.
I think something similar can be said for board evaluation and looking and how to examine the effectiveness of your current board and the different ways of doing that. I think that could be really instructive also for a lot of our boards.
Yeah. Are there other ideas that aren't on this list that you all thought, you know, it'd be really great if we had something on this topic?
Oh, it's like a big project to coordinate, but I would love to be able to meet more of the Rails membership as a Rails board member. Like, of course, I can always go as a entrusted library person /trustee/library director, but at the same time, I think that there's a difference between like Jen the director and Jen the trustee, like they're all different things. So it might be kind of nice to do just more. I don't know if it's offsite options. I don't know that it has to be the whole effort that I know it takes you all to make that happen. But
I know our library participated in, it was like a passport thing. It was on the library level though, not this board level. And
You
so
did
I
that
went
process
and did
once?
it, not because I wanted to, because I really didn't want to drive to every, but I felt like, I felt like I really should go in and see all these libraries and then introduce myself. So I did, I went to, I mean, somewhere far, you know, and I made my husband go and he's like, why are we here? You know, and so it was, that was neat, but that was at the library level. So if you could get maybe your library on board with doing a program like that, you know, it was Pinnacle, but it wasn't all Pinnacle. There was a whole bunch of different ones. And it forces you out to get you to these places. You got a stamp on your passport thing and it was kind of fun, you know. Is that what you're talking about? Making you go to different libraries?
yeah, or even just to, have, to encourage that library to interact with us as board like directors here too. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really valuable, I think, when I've seen, previous meetings and things like that offsite, or even if I think back to my own experience at Bloomington last year, it was great to be able to talk to the people that were just
Yes.
in the building and that happened to come because it was close. So it's
Well, as
always a
soon as
good
I
option.
introduced myself as a board member, then all the people would come to me and talk.
Yeah.
If I just came in and said, oh, I'm just a library patron wanting to get this book stamped, they'd stamp it and say hi. But if, you have to do
There's a
the opening
purpose. Yeah.
to it.
Want to invite you, if and any of you, if you have interest, we hold these things called Rails member meetups. And they're just events for anyone that wants to participate. Jessica has one set up for Schaumburg in mid-March, so you are all welcome, and I know just look into, but
That was what made me think it was a good idea.
You're the pawpaw one too, right?
More proactive about just making sure that you all are aware of those opportunities, because I think the membership really likes to meet with the Rails board also. It's very, they like meeting with the staff also, but I think meeting with the board member also gives you an opportunity to listen to concerns, thoughts, ideas from them, but also to let them know what it's like to be a board member. Let them know, if they ever were considering running for the board, what that looks like. So there's a lot of opportunity there, I think.
I'll be there for the member update one, just because of the director of the Obama Center will be there.
Dr. Genevieve Phillips.
Yeah, so that I'm just looking forward to.
Other thoughts?
I think it would be really neat to learn more about some of the group purchases specifically, like pick one or two to debut. Yeah, I love that there's the overview of the deals and discounts, but even just like Career Online High School and what is that? And go a little bit further into maybe show us what it looks like, or just talk a little bit more about what these important resources are. Because I mean, the fact that there are deals and discounts is wonderful, but the impact that those resources can make, we might miss a little bit of it if we don't get a little more hands-on with them. I mean, just a thought.
Yeah.
But I'm a database nerd, so that's just super appealing to me, to see these resources in person, and so.
Other thoughts? Well, we really appreciate hearing from you. We'll kind of come back and go back through this discussion and think about some potential topics and speakers on this. But thank you for sharing your thoughts. And if something occurs to you after this meeting that you want to share later, please definitely reach out to me, and we can talk more about some other ways just to make sure that these meetings are meeting your expectations and needs as well as ours. So we really want this to be a good experience for you all as well. Thank you.
All right, next we have board member reports. This is the opportunity for board members to share what is happening in their libraries. Anyone wants,
Oh. We have a show of hands, please. Belongs to IOA. Okay. Well, we had our first retirees forum meeting on via Zoom last week.
Yay to go, Diane.
Now, I forwarded my beginnings of an article for the ILA reporter to a recently retired librarian who I just met last week on Zoom. And there'll be an article sometime soon, but I just wanted to let you know who, that it's coming. We're not just sitting on it, but it is coming. And the people who showed up at the Zoom meeting, I had no clue. But they were very helpful. And I just want to see this going. It's such a wonderful, like I mentioned too, about meeting one another. That's why I love coming. When I was on ILA, I loved it. I love Rails too, because I meet, maybe I haven't talked to all of you, but I enjoy talking, getting different ideas from each of you. Welcome you to the libraries and going to your libraries and just your experiences. And it just like blossoms. When I used to be in different meetings here with the iRead, and when I go up for the ILA meetings, when we used to be on Michigan Avenue, I come away with, just pumped up and make me love my job again by coming. So I just think it's important to keep it going, because I think once a library employee, always a library employee. And it's part of our DNA. And I've mentioned that in the article too. I don't know if it'll be cut or not, but
Look for it.
so, as people have said to me when I worked at the public library, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to go to Chicago and, be in this group and that group? And I said, because it's part of my profession and I want to know more about it and meet people with other ideas and just learn from them. And truthfully, it's the vocabulary too that you use. It's the jargon, it's the buzzwords, and it makes me a better librarian because I try to perpetuate that with people that I talk to. Okay, that's enough of that. The other thing is May 29th. I also volunteer at another library, at the museum library at the McLean County Historical Museum Library. So we're having a dedication on the 29th of May at, I think, 5:45. It's got to be on the exact time. Lincoln's Lost Speech. And we have a mural. We have an artist that's going to put Lincoln's picture of when he's talking about, he's so enraged about the Nebraska-Kansas Act that it makes him, gives him impetus to run for president. Anyway, I lived only like 34 miles away, worked in Peoria for 46 years. I had no clue that Lincoln walked and lived and slept and had so many buddies in Bloomington. That place is just rich with history. And when I take people on tours, I'd say, see that Taco Plebano place across the street? That is where Lincoln walked up and they talked him into becoming president. And those steps are still there. So we've got so much. And so we're having this anniversary, this dedication of the mural. And I'm so excited. I'm on the committee, and the library there is just fascinating. We've got so much, so rich with Lincoln information and artifacts and letters. And so anyway.
Thank you for
sharing. So happy about that. I love Lincoln. Thank you.
The Downers Grove Library Foundation is going to be doing a fundraiser at Skeleton Key Brewery, which is technically in Woodridge, but they're a great partner. And on April 9th as part of our National Library Week celebrations, and they have gotten permission to screen a brand new documentary called Banned Together, which is about banned books. So if you're interested, a really great way to see the documentary and support our foundation and drink some of the great beer that Skeleton Key does for us. They are amazing.
More on the date and time.
April 9th, dgplfoundation.org for more information. And yeah, we also our foundation is doing quarterly give back days. You'll see a theme here with Altar Brewing in Downers Grove. The first one was on February 17th. We have one coming up here in May. So go ahead and take a look over there. That's where our foundation has been doing a lot of great things. So we're very proud of them.
One more? Bueller? All right, thank you, Diane and Julie, for sharing that. I know Alex and I will probably show up for the brew and show support. Our next board meeting will be on Friday, March 28th, 2025. The March agenda will include Rails Communications and Marketing Overview by Dan Bostrom. And Brian Smith will present on digital accessibility. We're going to be going into a closed session. Do we need a break? Yeah, 5?
Should we read through and do
Do you want to?
the motion, and then do the break? Is that?
That's up to you. You want to-
Might be easier with the recording.
The board will be moving into a closed session per 5 Illinois compile status, chapter 120, paragraph 2, to discuss matters listed below. Exemptions: a public body may hold closed meetings to consider the following subjects: the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employee or their representatives, the deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, litigation when an action against affecting on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending. May I have a motion and a second to move into, okay, just want to make sure, move into closed session? Thank you, Diane. Second?
Karen, second.
Thank you, Karen. Emily, please call roll.
Jennifer Cutshall,
Hi.
Gwen Gregory, Diane Hollister, Jennifer Hovanek,
Yes.
Amanda Kowalski,
Yes.
Julie Millivek,
Yes.
Emily Porter,
Yes.
Carolyn Sennett, Alex Vancina,
Yes.
Karen Voidick,
Yes.
Kathleen Yanikowski,
Yes.
Dean Carroll, and Renee Leva.
Yes. Thank you all for your attendance. Have a nice weekend. I adjourn this meeting at 3:04 p.m. Have a great day.